Welcome everybody to the Maven Club community chat, and I'm really excited today. We are joined by Heather Torrens from Viva Go. So hello Heather, welcome to this community chat.
Hi, Karen. Thank you so much for talking with me today.
We're really excited to hear your story. Now, I've had the privilege of being able to get involved along the way. And so I am feeling like there's so much you're going to be able to share that it's just going to resonate with people. It's going to encourage people. And it's a really exciting journey. So why don't you tell us a bit about you and your story that actually led to you starting your business?
Right, okay, so I might want to start, if possible, with my 60-second pitch, which is one of the
Ooh,
things we've been working on. So maybe you can
very
hear
exciting.
that. So it gives a context to the whole thing. So basically, my company Vivago is a values-based coaching tool. And why has this been set up? Well, Desmond Tutu said there comes a point where we have to stop just pulling people out of the river. We have to go back upstream and find out why they're falling in. Too many children, young people, and adults are falling in the river. In a typical UK class today, 5 children are facing mental health challenges, 5 have special educational needs, 5 didn't have breakfast, and 7 are disadvantaged. And there are over 1.25 million young people that had referrals to NHS mental health services last year. For adults, 34,000 people have waited over 2 years for mental health support. There are major problems with addiction, marriage divorce rate, 60,000 people released from prison this last year. And in leadership, as a leader, you might be the one pulling people out while sometimes feeling like you're the one in the river yourself. So this is something that has been generally started for children and young people, but I'm finding that adults and leaders are wanting to use it as well because it's simple and it's structured. Basically, it's an upstream intervention. What do? We empower children and young people and adults through values-based coaching to lead their own lives and to love learning and to find joy in life and purpose. Our tool Vivago, is evidence-based, quick, fun, and developed with the help of Oxford and Exeter universities, learners with significant needs, and with young leaders. And how do we do it? We train a coach. We've got an accredited level 3 program providing all resources, support, and supervision. How did it start was your question, and how did it become a business? Basically, it's a resource that didn't exist when I needed it, and so many others like me. As a child, my main source of encouragement was in music performance. Both of my parents and one of my brothers had significant mental health issues, so my world was a very unshared internal life. Even though I was an extrovert, I didn't speak with anyone. But because of this area of affirmation, I became a successful professional musician. I was 27 and performing music in Finland at the Kalastajärtorpa when I came across a very successful businessman and leader who listened. I guess he was my first coach. He listened and he challenged me and he said, I want you to think of 3 things that you want to achieve in the next 5 years. Um, and the power at that point of having someone listen to you and really listen and care enough to hear your answers, which I hadn't had before, and then challenge you to make achievable changes. That's values-based coaching. The 3 things I visualized, by the way, actually happened over those next 5 years. When I came back from traveling the world, I went into youth work. I found another listener, a colleague. She drew me out. She really listened to the story of my hidden and tough early life. I found my faith. I found my voice. And through my young life and the lives of so many, if I'd had someone that I could trust, give me 30 minutes of their time once a month, quick, fun, and challenging, with an encouraging heart, a bank of good questions, and skill to challenge in areas of relationship, responsibility, resilience, and reflection, I would have found my voice, my confidence, and my purpose so much earlier. But I didn't know then that that was to be the motivation for the start of my business later. Nothing is wasted, Karen. That's what I'm learning. Nothing is wasted. So followed then 30 years, over 30 years in education as a leader, mostly in areas of extreme deprivation. And I've seen that to change society, which we all want, we need to raise up good leaders and those who can lead themselves. So Viva Go started with a leadership book. I'd written a lift-off leadership skills for young children with a group of young leaders. And there was this young boy on the team, Mark, aged 8, who could not lead himself. He came from a traveller family, couldn't read or write. Mum couldn't read or write, wanted better for her boys. But we decided to help him find his value and his values. And at that point, I was offered a Farmington scholarship from Oxford University. And I used that time and that help, that support to write Viva Go. And it came quite quickly. And what was amazing, like Mark now at 15 says, I had no confidence. I did not speak about my feelings. I kept my worries to myself. I felt like Mrs. Torrens believed in me. This made me believe in myself. I learned to stand up for myself. And he said, thank you, Mrs. Torrens, for your support, believing in me, giving me the confidence boots I needed. So he found his values, he found purpose, he found a hope for his future. And I wanted this for all children and young people, especially those disadvantaged and likely to fall in the river. So this has been a resource that's been developing for 6 years. And then made it into a training course so that I can train people accredited level 3. So it's been a really hard journey because I've been working full time at the same time. But when you are driven, when you are motivated, when you see the transformation that what you can create brings, it's restful in itself. It's
Wow.
wonderful.
What a story. And I think one of the things that I find in my position working alongside people that are entrepreneurial, that get things going and then keep them growing and often roll them out for the masses. One of the things that just is a common theme is that motivation of your own personal story and your own personal journey. And it's interesting because sometimes, I get to work with people that are really very young, and it's quite early on for them to be launching things, which is great. It's exciting to work with young entrepreneurs. But it's fascinating that actually your journey, everything leading up to this has its place and its relevance. And it really is your experience as a child, and then your journey, and then your teaching career, and all of that experience and knowledge, and I guess a level of discomfort of this doesn't have to be like this. Come on, what can we do? It's actually meant that this launch of a business is actually quite a lot later on for you than for some people, and yet it wouldn't be what it is without you having had all of those steps, that journey. And I hope that encourages others that think, nothing is wasted. And yes, this might be my familiar world, this might be what I know, but actually there is something else. There is a next season. There is something that none of this will be wasted, and I can convert this. So today we really are focusing on that values-based coaching, and it's incredible to have heard that journey of, why and how you got interested in it. But would you like to just explain to us why you think it is so important? I know we've obviously heard that with your lovely pitch and that, but why is it so important? And why is it so important that at a stage where maybe you were thinking of starting to look towards winding down your teaching career, you actually have launched a new business, and you've launched it whilst doing everything else as well? I mean, that's quite impressive.
So for me, having come across coaching 10 years ago within my leading at school, I was already leading with values, helping other schools with values. And because coaching is basically get from here to here. It's often very practical, but when it's rooted in values, values are what we stand on to navigate life, like a compass to steer forward, even when the waves are completely overwhelming. So much in our lives, all the difficulty, all the stress, much of it is outside our control. So values help us connect to what really matters to us. And when there's so much coming in, what aligns with me, they impact all behaviors, attitudes, decisions, and relationships. And they're based on deep beliefs from family, peers, and culture, which is why we have such sort of a complex mess with young people, because they have too much overstimulation of everything coming in. They don't know what to believe, they don't know who to believe, and they're trusting in often the wrong things. But if you know who you are and what you value and who you value, your choices will align with this. So Vivigo has 4 values: relationships, responsibility, resilience, and reflection. And that's why it starts with that. It's a Viva, which, you know, what are your values? Who do you value? And then there's a list of great values. So it's a teaching thing as well for people who. I came across I was doing a workshop with 52 students and young adults. And there was a chap who was 35 and he'd never thought about where his happy place was or what his values were. So it really made him think of that, you know, who inspires you? Where is your happy place? You know, where do you go internally or externally? For children, you know, V is what do you want to be when you grow up? But for adults, it's if time and money were no object, what would you be doing right now? And when you think of that as such a question, particularly when you asked it quite quickly and you see the heart of someone, and the A is attributes, you know, what are your attributes? What are your skills? But actually, as a list of values, a list of attributes, which of these are you? And when you read that back to someone, they may never have had affirmation like that. So once you've got that, then you do the problem solving bit, which is more like ordinary coaching based on voice. You know, think of a challenge or an opportunity over the next month. You scale it, you do the miracle question. What are your obstacles? How do you feel inside? What are your choices? Effort and energy for that. Viva go, because you go back. How does this fit with your values and who you are? And the go on is, what is the very first step? So it's all rounded up and it's very quick, and it's an hour for adults and 30 minutes for children. And it's lots of fun. And I think we need resources which are fun, because, you know, people go into counselling, and in organizations and schools, you've got the 2 R's of responsibility and resilience. Be responsible, be resilient. You've got to do this, you've got to achieve, you've got to succeed. Then when you fall in the river, you get lots of relationship and reflection, which is also great. But actually, you need them both together. You need the relationship, you need to take responsibility, you need to have that resilience, knowing what you're doing with SMART targets, and you need to have the reflection. So that's what I love about this resource. It sort of happened. It's come. It was almost a gift and a given, and I feel like I'm just the curator of it. And those 2 things together. So the values, without the values, it's just practical action. But with the values, it's who you are, impacting, you know, your why impacting your what and your how. It's easy to do the what and the how if you have the why. So that's.
Oh, fantastic. And I know that we've had lots and lots of conversations about this type of thing in the past, because I find, again, with that, working with entrepreneurs, just helping them to really consider what their own personal values are, so that they can decide on what they want their company values to be or their brand values to be. Because if those don't align, you're just always setting yourself up to fail, and for it to be difficult and confusing and hard work. And it's often why people are unhappy in situations and that type of things. I think just being able to step back, reflect, and really consider the depth of what you value and what kind of makes you.
Absolutely.
You can't fight, that you've got to work with and you've got to embrace.
That's
is really important. And I think it's fantastic. And I've obviously had the great privilege of seeing the resources and just seeing how fun and easy they are to use. And what's lovely is that that's something that very much started because of your childhood journey and your connection with children, and your scenario in the school where you were discovering lots of children that needed that very definite input and support in learning how to regulate and understand themselves and all of that. But it's grown from there, and it's gone into other things, which is great. And so it'll be really great. I mean, obviously people can look at your website and have a good look, but one of the things that often happens is, as we start to get excited and understand our own business and our own journey a bit more, we will still hit low points and challenges. And I'm just wondering, for you, when you decided to kind of take that brave step in creating first the resource, but then an actual business to support that resource, what have been some of those challenges or low points that you've come across so far?
Okay, so I would say there are two.
Mhm.
I think the first one is I didn't know what to do when I'd created the resource, because I thought I want to get this in every organization. I want to
Mhm.
get this in every school. How am I going to do that? And I was walking along a place called Hengistbury Head. It's a beautiful place, and I
Mhm.
was just felt I should talk to this lady. She turned out to be one of the top coaches in New Zealand, and we talked about. She listened to my story, and she said there are things like this, but there's nothing as beautifully structured and simple as this. You need to do a training course. And my education head went, but that's another 6 years. What was amazing was that in place, there just have been people come into my life, and someone came into my life who has done a lot of these courses and just helped me do it. So now, fairly quickly, within a year, we created this value, this level 3 accredited. It needed to be accredited,
Uh-huh.
not too hard, not too high, so that people of every sort of level can access it to a certain degree. Um, and so that was a low point, but turned into a high point, because now I've got a
Mhm.
trainer, and I'll be training trainers to train
Mhm.
trainers, which is fantastic. And then the other one is sort of now, Karen, actually, because I'm ready. I'm good to go. I've done some training. I've run the course, two or three times now, and my skill set, and this is one of the things I would say later, actually, know what your skill set is. I know that, I'm creative, I'm educational, I see vision, I see big picture, I can see detail when I'm motivated, and I need to do that, and I've got myself organized. But my skill set is not social media. So that's that bridge from it being ready to getting into all of those schools and things, those emails I need to write,
Yeah.
someone said to me, well, if you wanted 9 people on your course, next course, how many emails would you write? Well, I said 9, because you think, well, and he said, no, you'd need 45. And I'm thinking, okay, because people who know these things. So that is, and in a way, that's where the Maven Club really helped, because just talking to people in the same position as me, at the same point as me, because it can be very lonely doing these things, and that's where it's been really helpful. Yeah. So
I
it's
think
good.
I think that's really, I mean, that's really honest and incredibly helpful. But I think that word of loneliness is very real, isn't it? When you are trying to sort of, well, really, you're pioneering something. So
Mm,
although many people would have heard of coaching, this is quite a unique approach, and it's quite obviously the stuff with the children is very specialized but simple. And like you say, it needed to be accredited, but you're an amazing you're in education, you're an amazing leader, you've got all these qualities, but starting a business is a whole nother world for you, isn't it? And that sense of being lonely and out of your depth. And I
yeah.
think even just that thing that you've touched on, when you hear, if it's something that's not within your normality or your skill set, and you hear someone say, well, you've got to write 45 emails, that's overwhelming. That feels like, why? And sometimes things can become too formulaic, that you just feel like, I can't do this, I can't do that. And that is a part of why we want to exist, to help people to not feel overwhelmed, and not to also feel that the things that literally make them feel like they want to vomit, that is part of that, what they have to do. There's always other ways, there's always different things, and you sometimes have also got to just trust who you are and how you do things as being the best way forward. So on the social media thing, though, one of our community chats is with Jasmine, just around how to get started with social medias from scratch. So
Great.
again, there's lots of great stuff out there to help you, and we have a free resource that helps people to get going with that as well. So there's always others that are there to help, and that's a great message, isn't it, to get across.
Mhm.
But like you said at the very beginning, one of the things that we worked on together was actually just helping you to get your message across succinctly. Anyone that spends time with you, Heather, they can't help but get excited and encouraged and want to come on that journey. But actually, there is a lot to it. There's a lot to Viva Go, and I think that sometimes when there's so much to share, there's so much information, and particularly for the founder that's been carrying this and birthing it, that it can be a bit confusing and hard to work out, what do you need to say, when do you say it, how do you say it without utterly overwhelming everybody or losing them because there's too much information. And so I'm just interested to know, how did mastering that 60-second pitch actually change things for you, for how you communicated about Vivago?
So I think meeting you was transformational, actually, to the work I did with you, even from the start. In education, we say that the best feedback is positive and specific. And your feedback to me was just so beautifully encouraging. And not just encouraging in words, but encouraging in specifics. This is why this is worth doing. So that was so helpful to start with. And I get excited. I talk a lot, and once I'm going, I can use a lot of words. I'm a songwriter, so you know, I will use a lot of words. It's my love language. And so to put things succinctly, what was great about working with you was that you scaffolded what I needed. I had too many things I could have put in it, and you just helped me. It was almost like, you know, all these things. It was like a big stew. But where do you get the how do you get the bits? And in a way, you helped me reduce it, you know, like a good sauce. You helped me filter it. You helped me sort of narrow it down and pick out what was the best, what were the best bits. And also, you gave me challenges, and you also gave me timed. So by the next time we meet, let's meet in, I think it was 2 weeks, you said, and by then have a rough version of it. And that was really helpful. I wasn't overwhelmed because you were encouraging. Um, and and sometimes when I've been working with you, you're a natural coach, and you can go into mentoring too. And you said a few things because you're on the outside of it. You said some things that, say that again. I need to write that down because you had seen, and it's okay to have things that other people have said. You know, sometimes we think all of our stuff has to come from us, but actually when someone said something about what you do, catch it, make notes of it, because that then becomes what you can say about it. And yeah, and so having that 60-second pitch has really helped. I've had to practice it a lot. I've put on little pictures of it and tried to like remember it and practiced it. So my friends and family are really fed up of it now, but it means that I'm fairly confident when I say it. I need more practice. It's still fairly new, but it's the heart of what you do. You know, so it's the simpler it is, and I suspect it'll get even more simple over time. So I'm really grateful to you because you've helped me with the heart of what I do.
Oh, thank you. That's lovely. But I think one of the things to take from that as well is that, again, it's not about having a formulaic approach. It's not about saying the right thing in the right way with the right language that equates into you getting business. This is about helping people to really understand this passion and this motivation and this thing that they carry, and getting them to communicate it in the most natural way to them that makes it so authentic that it will land, and the information that's going to be easy for people to absorb is what they are left with. And I think there's such a fine line between just like teaching a formula, learn this, and this, to actually spending time helping people to reflect and learn what it is that, why this is so important. Why, if you didn't do this, this would be actually a disaster for so many people. What is it that is so bubbling up in you that just has to get out there for the world to discover? And how do we not make ourselves part of the problem with them understanding it? How do we just bring every element? And like you say, that's a really lovely analogy, actually, of that, reducing it down so that it can come in a way that just opens up that understanding and opens up the opportunity for a conversation. And I have to say, it was an absolute privilege working with you in it, because there is so much in it, raw, pure, energetic enthusiasm, and I think that it's easy to just chat for hours and hours and hours on end, and to really understand what it is you're doing and to hear all the beautiful testimonies and that. But we're not always given that privilege, are we? So by being able to really succinctly get people on board and understanding, it's like the platform that opens other opportunities up, isn't it? And it was fabulous to see you to do it, and also to push through on something that you were determined to get there. But it wasn't so easy for you, because there was so much to try to work it out, wasn't there? But that now you have it, it's just a delight to see you when you are explaining it to other people. So it's great that that has helped you. But what I'd love to know is what's been a real high point in this whole journey? And, there's often things that we just kind of pinch ourselves about. I cannot believe that opportunities happened, or that thing's happened, or someone said that. So what's been the high points for you?
Okay, so I've got three. I think there are so many, but I've picked three. The first is the young lad who couldn't lead because he couldn't lead himself, and just his letter that he wrote, and how it changed his trajectory, and stories of many others that I've got, and when I did the NASENCO, the special educational needs coordination master's level work, and I trialed it with 6 children who had specific learning difficulties, especially autism. I'm discovering it's really helpful for people with autism and children because it's so structured and clear, and they love to have that power for themselves, that empowerment, and that action. All of these children were very neurodiverse and couldn't relate at all. They all became friends, and they stayed friends right through school, and they became leaders, except for one who went to special school. The rest have had a leadership position in school, so that has been absolutely delightful watching their journey. The second is that it's such a simple resource. I've trained up young people to do it, so they're doing it for peers and for the head teacher, deputy head teacher. They've been doing it for that, so that's really good, using it. So they have those skill sets that's going to their families and their friends in their future. They become leaders in the future too. And the third is that we have just won an award and a grant. I put in a hurried application for an award from the Institute of Leadership, and they love it for its vision and its potential and its alignment with values. And it means I can give bursaries. I can give some bursaries and train up some volunteers, which I'm really excited about. So exciting.
That is awesome news. And that is so cool that we heard that here first. That's so brilliant. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So with all of that in mind, what would you tell others that might actually make a difference for them? You've been bold, you've taken those steps, you've gone into the discomfort of the unknown at times. What would you tell others that might just make a real difference for them?
Okay, so I would say that number one, remember the value you bring, and just hold that as a center stone, really, because that brings motivation and purpose. Without the why, the passion, the excitement helps for the long term, and that leads to the what and the how. And the what and the how are easier because you have the why. Second, get help, like the help that you've given me. I couldn't have done it without you, actually. You was a mixture of sort of coach, advisor, mentor, and a bringer together of people at similar stages to me. It's a game changer. And the second is something you said a bit earlier about values. Actually, when you worked with me, it wasn't just the values of the resource. You spent a lot of time with me talking about the values of the company. So I've got those cornerstones now, and those 4 R's, which are Viva Go, we work together. Actually, I could have those in the company, and these are the things, the non-negotiables within my company as I grow. I've got a little team, but as I grow, that will be the foundations for that too. And actually, that's come into the training, my 4 days of training, 4 days over 6 months. The first day is about relationship and building that, and the second day is about responsibility and responsibility of doing this, resilience of keeping going when you have to do lots and lots and lots of training with people, and then reflection with that. So it's a reflective cycle, and so that really helped me to ground and root not just the resource, but the actual whole organization of that. And oh yes, this is really important, is to not hold pride, not to hold it lightly. Basically, I trialed this with many people, many schools. I sat in a community cafe on a Saturday morning, a little sign that said free coaching, and I had people because it's a very deprived area, and I had this one chap came in and he said, it's like having a certificate of promise in your pocket as he walked out. And I thought, yes, So, you know, I tried it with lots of people, but I got lots and lots of feedback. I put it out as an MVP, minimal viable product, and I was open to feedback. And some of that feedback was like, oh, I've got to change the whole thing in the light of this. And but
Mhm.
if you think long term, you think, no, long term, this has to be, I have to do it.
Mhm.
Just bite the bullet and do it. And it is worth it to get something that you're so confident with, you don't then it's only tweaks. So get a range of opinions, but match it with your values, because
Mhm.
again, all these voices, but
Yeah.
if it's aligned with your values, you know, if the advice someone gives aligns with your own cornerstone values, then act on it.
Mhm.
Think what's best long term. Um, and also, as we've been talking, another one, which is know your skills and strengths and weaknesses.
Mhm.
I went to a workshop once at the leadership conference in London with this amazing chap who heads up these huge companies. And he says, be quite ruthless. You know, if you've got these skills and in your team you've got these skills and this is missing, you have to have that. And if it's better if someone goes and works somewhere better for them because you've got too many that's the same, you need that, even if they're
Mhm.
really different from you, especially if they're different from you.
Yeah.
Like my next person, I need someone who's really like minute detail and following
Mhm.
us up, you know,
Mhm.
yeah, that sort of thing. I know what your skill set is. Do the personality tests. Um, know what your skill set is so that you can draw people that will give you a whole body. You know how the body works together. You need an arm, you need a leg, you need an eye.
Uh-huh.
You know, if you've got just eyes, it's no good. You
Mhm.
know, so it's know your strengths and find people to work with you that will have a balance of strengths on your team.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I feel like we could just keep talking for hours on end because you've just brought such rich detail into those answers that I'd love to keep talking to you about this. And I know that we will. I'm sure we'll have more community chats with you. But just to finish, Heather, what simple daily activity do you recommend that really helps you keep moving forwards? Because it might resonate for someone else. It might just be that top tip that someone else knows. So, what do you recommend?
Okay, again, three things. Simple thing, it's structure for me. I have some ADHD tendencies. I try and do everything at once, all quickly, all in one day. So I sit down and I really relax. My first Pomodoro, look that up, it's brilliant. My first little 25 minutes or less is to just work out what I'm going to do before the week, before the day. I have a list, high, medium, and low priorities. What are my time things? What am I going to do first? And then I put it, if I can, into a structure of 25 minutes break, 25 minutes. So I know exactly what I'm doing and I'll do my high priority things first so that at least I've done those. And that for me has been a game changer. Otherwise you can have time and then it's lost, particularly if you're working for yourself, because
Mhm.
I'm yeah. Um, Secondly, if you're an extrovert, talk it out with someone,
Mhm.
because if we're external processors, um, then we come to the answers as we're talking it out.
Mhm. Mhm.
If you're an introvert, then you don't need that. You're just processing it. But then do say it and state it or write it.
Mhm.
You know, find how you process things and work out the way of doing it. But it is worth doing that. Thirdly, I try and do a triangle of work, rest, and play within the day. Exercise, air, healthy food, lots of healthy food. You know, when you're running something, you have to stay healthy. And it's absolutely my hobby to be in great nutrition, probiotics, all that stuff. Lots and lots of exercise. And also healthy communication and remembering that rest is active. I get my best ideas when I'm like heading down to the beach for a swim.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's absolutely vital that you do take that rest. I'm not good at it. I'm rubbish at taking rest. So this is don't do as I do. But you know, that rest is when your brain's still working, but in a relaxed way, and you come out with your best ideas.
Yeah, fantastic. As you know, I often say, make sure you build in CEO time. You're not working, it's just about you really giving yourself that space. So thank you so much, Heather, for everything you've shared, and genuinely really look forward to chatting with you again. I think you've just shared so much helpful information there and great tips that I hope encourage many people to get going or keep going. Before we say goodbye, what is your website so that if people want to go have a look at Viva Go, they know exactly where to go?
Okay, so it's info at viva-go.co.uk. So info at viva-go.co.uk.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Heather. It's been great chatting with you, and look forward to catching up again soon.
Brilliant. Bless you. Thank you so much.